Hey everybody, this is Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine
And I'm Calvin Zito, HP storage guy.
And you're at the HP TechCast.
So we're at VMworld. Here at VMworld 2012, there was a lot of news, and we've got some great guests on the TechCast today where we're going to cover a lot of that news.
Oh yeah, it's great. We've got the Brent and Brent show that's coming up, and then of course Janice from Emulex is going to be joining us. And
I'm looking forward to talking to her because
Okay.
I don't see her very often. It's going to be good to talk to her.
And then you got Gagan here talking a little bit about vSphere.
And the integration with vCloud Director and Data Protect.
Okay. And then Jacob's going to round everything up.
Yeah, so we've got a packed show. Why don't we get to it?
All right, sounds good. We're getting to it right now.
With the Brent and Brent show now, and I want you guys to introduce yourselves. You guys go everywhere, and you have to. How do people differentiate who you are? Since you're both Brent and Brent, so I'll have you guys introduce yourselves. Brent Sullivan.
Well,
I call him George Lucas.
at least it's not Kenny Rogers. Thank you.
Okay.
We blur the lines sometimes. We work very closely together, and it's all about bringing converged solutions between HP and VMware. So it's okay if the lines get blurred. But I'm Brent Sullivan with VMware. And I'm the director of the HP Strategic Alliance at VMware.
Great.
And I'm Brent Allen. Been working with Brent Sullivan for a long time, even before my current role. So now what I'm doing is I'm the worldwide product manager and solutions manager for HP Virtual System for VMware, which has been a great thing for our alliance. It's really taken us to new heights, and we're continuing to drive further. But worked with this guy even before that, just in the alliances role. So we've been kind of doing this shtick for a while.
Yeah, great. So what are your net impressions? I mean, obviously, big show here. I mean, this is. Hopefully nobody from HP is listening. This is actually my favorite show to come to. I love HP Discover, but I love this show because I know so many people in the community, and I just love hanging with the community.
Very diversified, yeah.
But from your guys' perspective, what's the big deal with being here at VMworld?
Well, it grows every year. I mean, year after year, the show just continues to grow. I mean,
Too big for Vegas.
there you go.
Yeah, you were talking about that. It was
well,
at the Sands
that's hard to find.
It was at the Sands last year, and they
Yeah.
moved it over back to San
Yeah.
Francisco.
And you know, at the Sands last year, I did some stuff talking to a variety of social media folks about what our big announcement was there, virtual system, right? So that was our 1.0 release out there in Vegas. And so, now here we're doing our 2.0, but really what sort of almost eclipses that is this idea of this converged cloud between HP and VMware, right? And so we've expanded the cloud system portfolio, and we're taking virtual system and we're bringing it up into that portfolio, right? So in the announcement, you may have seen a line item. We had so much stuff to announce, it's hard to get everything in, but there was a line item around being able to deliver prepackaged cloud system optimized for VMware. And that's really built on virtual system. Virtual system is the prepackaged, converged infrastructure, right, that we're delivering.
Yeah, we're really moving folks along a journey too. Last year, talking about bringing business applications into production more quickly, more reliably by using virtual system. This year, next step in the journey, talking about moving to cloud and to software-defined data centers as well.
So Brent, you talked about there was so much news, and I know there's maybe more information about what's new with virtual system. You mentioned it's version 2.0. So what is new about it? I'm going to take a wild guess. And we announced some new server technology recently. Does that have anything to do with what you announced?
Yeah, you might have been able to guess that. I'm sure anybody that watches this thing already probably knows, right? The cat was out of the bag long, long ago. Well, so we announced or we launched Gen 8 right back in March, right? So this should be no surprise to anybody. But we've taken our virtual systems and we've updated them with the new Gen 8 server technology. So that's the new DL380P Gen 8 servers in our VS1, our VS2, gets the update to the BL460C Gen 8s, right? So we've done that. We've also updated the networking. So we've gone to the 5900 series networking switches, our top of rack switches. The main thing that gives us there is deeper buffers. So just some examples of some kind of updates and shifts from an infrastructure standpoint. But there's also additional things, and this is what's going to help, tie it to this whole reason we've moved it into the cloud system portfolio. So back at Discover, you probably heard something about this cloud system software that's out now. And so what we've done is we've taken virtual systems and we've aligned the way we set that thing up and all of the requirements to match the cloud system, right? So you got a couple of ways to really develop a cloud system off of this prepackaged infrastructure, and one of those is by taking the cloud system software and bringing it on top of virtual system, right?
So does that make it easier? Because I mean, we've talked about this. There's always been an upgrade path from virtual system to cloud system.
Always been.
This just makes that upgrade.
It's just very, very easy, and it's something that we can actually instantiate right away as we're doing the deployment. Right, and so if you wanted to go straight to just a virtual only instantiation of cloud system, you can then hit the ground running with cloud maps and all that kind of stuff around the virtual only. The other piece, right, and so then you can still also take those C7000s and upgrade them into cloud system matrix, and we have a more seamless path to do that as well because of some of the adjustments we've made inside of the systems. But then the other big news out here got announced on Monday from these guys, right? And so I won't steal your thunder on this thing, but just let it be said that we've also worked on optimizing these systems to take on the VMware cloud stack.
Well, you're stealing my thunder because that was the one I was going to ask. I was going to ask him next.
Right.
We're talking about all the news that HP had, but I'm reading some of the blogs from Duncan Epping, and I'm looking at the list of things that's new, and I'm overwhelmed. I'm thinking if I do a podcast with Duncan, I'm trying to. It's going to take us 2 months to go through everything. But so tell me about what the highlights are. What do you think are the big highlights for all the news that came out of this for VMware?
Yeah, I think the cloud systems optimized for VMware vCloud Suite is a huge announcement. And vCloud Suite and and kind of the software-defined data center approach is really all about helping IT be more agile in support of the business, and in doing that, driving out operational expense and providing the best SLAs for all applications. And when a customer does that by buying vCloud Suite from HP and deploying it on HP converged infrastructure, they get a uniquely powerful experience. And the reason for that is both integrations that we've done over the last almost a dozen years now, plus things that were just announced.
Plus 11 plus years of integration between HP and VMware. Isn't that incredible?
That's great.
It's really good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, a few brief examples of that, right, are with converged infrastructure, routine automated actions that happen every day within an environment, like vMotions, 40% faster on HP converged infrastructure. Less frequently, but probably more critically, are lifecycle events, like needing to increase the capacity within the data center. And there, the auto-flexing capability that was announced is really unique, because what it does is when a business needs to add capacity, they can bring in the physical resources, virtualize those, bring them into vCenter and then on up into vCloud in an automated process. So you're going from physical to virtual to cloud in a single automation, so you get fast, reliable, repeatable results.
And secure results, for that matter.
Security, right? So the integration and the announcements keep coming, right? Cloud Protect, all about the security in the cloud and compliance in the cloud. There's also the data protection aspect, integrations with HP there, where talking about truly enterprise class data protection between VMware and HP. And last, got to talk about the services as well. So when our customers buy vCloud suites from HP, deploy on converged infrastructure, they also get HP services to assure that they get a smooth implementation, if and when any problems come up, there's kind of a single hand to shake at the end of the day when the problems get resolved. And that's the power that we really bring together is a powerful experience from beginning on through the life cycle of the system.
And, we used to talk a lot about doing things from chip to chiller. I don't know if you.
I remember that.
That idea of chip to chiller, and it's never gone away, right? We just land on other buzzwords, right? but I think that the idea there is very, very valid, and so that's the approach that we're taking from HP with our partnership with VMware, is we're really looking at everything from as small a piece as possible all the way up through the big ideas, if you will, that really cover the entire data center. And so, and you have to look at things, as the industry's evolved, we've sort of learned, and security is a prime aspect, right? I mean, you see people that have clouds that have gotten broken into, and the whole Amazon fiasco and whatnot. But I mean, so you have to look at everything from the smallest piece, right, from those little, infrastructure components almost, all the way up through all of the software layers to ensure that you have, a complete strategy across your solution set inside of your data center, and to ensure that you're comprehensive. And so that's what we're trying to do here. We've been working on innovations from the smallest piece inside of, our servers and our storage and our networking and creating best practices and all of those things, all the way up through all of the software layers, all the way into the cloud. And that's the idea and the direction of the HP VMware Converged Cloud.
The one thing that I really like, and that a lot of IT administrators probably haven't really grasped onto yet, is usually when we talk about virtualization, we're talking about virtualization of a front desk, a warehouse, a hospital. So they put together an idea for that. Now we're getting into high performance virtualization. The CAD user, the video creator, the graphics user. They don't need to have that big bulky desktop.
Yeah.
They can have a thin or a zero client on their desktop, and they can do the things in real time with no latency, and everything's controlled at the server and at the data center.
It's all about mobility, isn't it? I mean, it's about ensuring that IT is there to do the things that we need in the way that we're living. I mean, we're already living in this very mobile, society where we're interacting with each other through technology. We're interacting with data through technology constantly, and it's everywhere, and that's just going to continue to grow. And I think that that's the real, when people ask about, worth the cloud or whatever, right? And I know people sometimes get turned off to the word cloud, but it's really the concept is ubiquitous. I mean, and it's just pervasive in the world that we live in, right?
Well, it's almost as though, I think we would get these violent reactions for several years about using the word cloud. I remember being at a partners event last year, or 2 years ago actually, and asking about cloud, and it was just, they were like, we don't want to talk about cloud. But it is pervasive. I mean, it's no longer a buzzword. There may be different definitions for what it is, depending on who you talk to, but it's the conversation every CTO is having right now.
I like to say that cloud to you is like podcast to me. I mean, there's many different ways to call a podcast. I mean, this is a podcast.
But do you have a software-defined podcast? I don't think you do.
Probably somewhere.
We'll have to work on
and there was the concept of cloud even before we had the word cloud, right? That's what I do like to kind of drive back to. The idea of software as a service, for example, is not new, right? That's been around for many, many years in the industry. We've got a lot of managed service providers out there that we've been funding with hardware and everything else for a long time.
There were a bunch of back in the late 90s. There were all kinds of businesses popping up that were doing storage service providers. A lot of them didn't make it then because the model didn't work, and IT wasn't really cheap. They were clouds.
Even if you think about it, your Gmails, your Yahoos, and your Hotmails. That was technically cloud back in 1998.
And it's less about what is it than how do we do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's what's powerful here is that we come together and we address that question. How do I do it, right? How do I make a corporate email provisioning as seamless as it is to you or I when we pick up our tablet and start a new Gmail account?
Exactly.
And bringing that to the enterprise is really what it's all about.
So I don't know that this is a great ending question. I probably should have asked this before, but we talked about the HP partnership, 11, 12 years of working together. A data point that I've heard in the past, I don't know what it is, I'm hoping I'm not putting you on the spot by asking you, but what percentage of VMware lands on an HP server. Do we have an idea what that is?
Yeah, we do. IDC gives us some direction on that. We have our own internal numbers on that. It's well in excess of 40%, both as a run rate and as a total installed base. So the community out there who has already chosen to trust their data centers to this combination is large. We think that we're giving them great new reasons every few months to continue that investment and keep working with us together in the data center.
On the same token, almost the same percentage, and I don't know whether, maybe it's a little bit higher, I don't remember exactly, but of the servers shipped from HP have VMware on them or run VMware after they're deployed. So you can just kind of see the synergies in the partnership there. There's just some natural affinity in the world, right, between running these things together, and there has been for a long time.
And one of the interesting things too is as we look at the trends, the HP in the installed base is a growing share. So even as new entrants have come into the marketplace, HP's shares not only remain steady, it's actually grown.
Oh, that's great. Well, Brent, the Brent and Brent show here. Thanks, you guys, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Great conversation.
Thanks.
Hey, so why don't we have you guys introduce yourself? Janice, why don't you go first?
Excellent. Well, thank you for having us here. I'm Janice Owens. I'm the OEM marketing manager for HP at Emulex, and happy to be here at VMworld this week.
And just relationship-wise, I mean, we've known each other since HP and Compaq got married, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It's been a while. It's been a while. We worked together in HP storage.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here. And Brent, we just talked to you a little bit ago, but why don't you tell everybody who you are again?
Okay, yeah. So my name's Brent Allen. I'm the Worldwide Product Solution Manager for HP Virtual System for VMware. And it's been a great week. We've gotten to announce a lot of stuff and talk about a lot of stuff all over the place, so happy to be here. Thanks, Calvin.
Fun time.
Absolutely.
Hey, so, one of the things we want to do, actually, Janice, doing the show here was kind of your idea. What was your idea that was the impetus? Because you said, hey, I like that HPTechCast that you do. Can we do something? And so here we are. We're doing it. So this is
My
because of you.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
It's the HP Emulex show.
Well, that's what we want to focus on.
Absolutely.
I mean, we obviously have a great partnership with you guys, and Brent, I know it's part of the virtual system, and so give us a high level of where Emulex is kind of.
Well, sometimes when I'm talking about Emulex inside of our solutions around virtual system, I kind of jokingly, but there's some truth in it too, I say that we use Emulex to talk to ourselves. And these guys are embedded in all of our stuff that we do. So we're using Emulex as the fabric point across our solutions, VS1, 2, and 3. Complexity, integration, the value add kind of steps up in each one of those all the way up through the LOM that they provide in our Blade solution, right, to provide the Flex fabric. So, everything from 10 gig Ethernet all the way up through 10 gig Flex 10, right? That's the feature set that we have enabled on the LOM there for VS2, and then in VS3, the full implementation of Flex fabric.
So the thing that occurs to me that I'll ask you about is, we're here talking about virtual system, but you guys are also very much part of the cloud system too, right?
Yes.
It's effectively same hardware.
Right.
So.
Yeah, to kind of add on to what Brent just said, we have a long-standing partnership with you guys. We've been in the HP Virtual System solution since their inception, since you guys first rolled these out. And we're not only a fiber channel provider, which we've been with HP Storage, and which we still continue to be, but we're also very integrated with the 10 gig and FCOE technology that we bring to bear with HP. And those are essentially converged-ready NICs. We're providing the greatest flexibility in protocol support, NIC, iSCSI, FCOE. And offered at the price of a 10 gig NIC, which is hard to beat in the industry.
Yeah.
So I think we're offering a lot to your Flex fabric and converged infrastructure story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what have you guys gotten from the show? I don't know if you've been doing booth duty, if it's been.
Yesterday.
So what kind of things are you hearing, and what's your takeaway from being here at VMworld this week?
It's been a great week. I think the whole 10 gig adoption question is, as we ask that question more and more, I think folks are really embracing it more, and it's taking off a bit more, which is great. In terms of the 16 gig fiber channel technology, which we announced with HP earlier this year, I think that's still, taking its time. But
Why do you think it is taking its time? Obviously, it's bigger, faster always seems like something people jump on, but why do you think it's taking longer than...
I think there are many people where they're still using 8, even 4 gig for that
there's
matter.
certainly people still using 4 today.
And the need is just not there yet. But I think as they run more VMs, virtualization is becoming more prominent with their deployments. I think the 16 gig will take off. I do.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we deal with, especially in this industry, is if you're looking at your production network, you're really kind of only as good as your smallest pipe. And so if you have large pipe feeding into lots of little small pipes, you're hitting lots of bandwidth issues still, right? And so if you go from like a 16 gig NIC down into a 10, right, you can still only go as fast as that 10. So there's some infrastructure things in the industry that we saw. I mean, it's kind of an evolutionary model in my mind over the past couple of years. We've seen people go to make the adjustments to 10 gig, right, and they've had to do that to their infrastructure inside of the data center. And they're going to have to do some of those investments and upgrades into data centers in the future where they pull in 16, and then as we continue to grow, but that's the direction. Yep.
The cool thing about I always look at the small medium business because that's who ultimately adopts it down the road 5-10 years from now, and it's amazing to see what virtualization could actually happen for small medium business. I could see if I was an IT administrator how to adopt and adapt to a virtual, so I don't have to give them a laptop. I don't have to give them a desktop anymore. I can just go from there. And of course, talking about the NIC speeds, that's vital to that. So, how do you guys see that enter into a small medium business as opposed to a large enterprise?
I think actually sometimes, and I think we're at the point now with enough disruptive technology in the industry where if it's the right SMB and they've got the money to invest, they may actually be more flexible and adaptable than a large enterprise in this space, because a lot of the large enterprises have a lot of legacy data center footprint out there that they have to deal with, a lot of different ways that they've done things over time. That's one of the things that's interesting if you look at like the low end range of our virtual system line and even some of the reference architectures and smart bundles that we've done. It gives them the ability to get pre-provisioned hardware that's tuned and ready-made very quickly, so that they can grow at a very fast pace. They can kind of look at the pieces where they can really add value in that equation around virtualization and the cloud, rather than having to be an absolute expert on every one of those bit pieces underneath. Whereas in the large enterprises, you usually have people with a lot of legacy knowledge around all those pieces because they've always had to have it, right? I mean, so we're kind of going through a shift in the industry. So it's very interesting to see.
I think I agree with Brent. I think it all depends on needs of the customer and what applications they're running. You could have an SMB that's running very mission critical database applications. So I can see the need for 10 gig.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think we want to wrap up this segment. Thanks a lot for the idea of doing this. This has been great to see you again here, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Going to talk a little bit about data protection and some VMware integration with vCloud. Brent and Gagan, why don't you guys introduce yourselves for our audience here on the TechCast?
Sure. My name is Gagan Bhatia, and I am the worldwide product marketing manager for the data protection solutions in the Autonomy IAM division.
And you guys are now part of software, right?
And we're part of software now. We're excited to be part of
Congratulations.
software. Great. Yes.
Brent?
Brent Sullivan with VMware. I'm the director of the HP Strategic Alliance at VMware.
Great. So, Gagan, we've got some announcements that we did here at VMworld around Data Protector. Tell us a little bit about the Data Protector integration with vCloud.
Yeah, I want to back up a little bit because we made a great announcement at HP Discover when we announced Data Protector 7. And that's when we announced the integration with StoreOne's appliances and having a common technology, StoreOne's technology, in the application, Data Protected application, and the appliances. So that was a unique integration that we did. And we also announced our integration with some of the autonomy products like LiveVault, because one of the products that they have is you can purchase a service and have a cloud service and back up on the cloud. And that integration for the enterprise is very useful because if you have one data center and you want to expand to another data center, you don't have to buy the set of tapes, or don't have to put it on the tapes and send it offsite. You can take one stream of data and back it up on the cloud. So those are like some great unique capabilities that we announced, but we did not stop there. 2 months later, we're here at VMware, great show, and we're announcing the integration with VMware vCloud Director. So that's the integration that nobody else has done at the level that we're doing it. It's a partnership with VMware, where we're understanding the virtual cloud environment or virtual data center environment. We can see what's inside the virtual data center and how it is configured, how many organizations are configured, and we can apply the backup policies at the organization's level. And not only that, the interesting part is the VApps. VApps is, if I would like to configure an application environment, I'm a developer. I want to set up a web server and some development application that we want to run on multiple virtual machines, and they are all connected. That's a VApp. It's a template that's deployed on the virtual data center. And I want to deploy it. I don't want to go to IT to do that. I can just go click off the button and say, hi, I want to deploy this VApp, and I can get my VApp deployed. But what if that VApp goes down or crashes? We have ability to take that VApp because we understand what your interconnection was, how many virtual machines you had, what kind of applications you had running, what data do you have. We take that VApp, we back it up. If the VApp goes down, we bring it back because we understand your environment, your container, if I may say, where you were working in, and we can restore that. So that's a really unique capability that Data Protector is doing with VMware vCloud Director.
So what's your perspective on not only the HP news, but you guys have obviously had a lot of news too, specific to vCloud Director?
Well, so I think one of the uniquely powerful things about what we've been doing with HP and what we continue to do is that while we work together in SMB and commercial, a lot of the real focus is on how do we handle the enterprise scale kinds of problems like Gagan was just talking about, right? And so that integration, it's the first and only to be backing up vCloud Director, and it builds on a history of other integrations that meant things like with our Site Recovery Manager, when we work with HP, customers can have tighter, more aggressive recovery time and recovery point objectives because of the integrations that we have between, in that case, between storage and between our SRM products. So it's a great relationship. It's focused on tackling the hard problems.
Yeah. Well, some of the buzz that started last week with some of the rumors that then got announced here was some of the integration that you have with using EMC inside of vSphere. But we were talking about this a little bit ago that obviously there's a lot of people that are kind of a little bit up in arms and like, what's this mean? Does that mean VMware is not open? You're the best person here in the table to address that. What's your perspective on that?
So what we want to do at VMware is to work with our partner community and to bring the best technology to meet customer needs. We didn't bring in a product from another company. We worked with them. They provided some technology. So it's not like it's OEMing another storage provider's product. There's some bits of technology. It's really focused more on the SMB and commercial parts of the business. So I think it's distinct from this. And there's also many areas where we've partnered together to bring unique capabilities to the marketplace. And I think what we're talking about here is a great example of that, right? These other integrations that we're talking about, they're not really tackling the same level of problem that we're tackling together here. And this show is all about cloud, and that's what we're talking about, hard problems in the cloud and how VMware and HP solve those together.
Yeah, and the real thing in the cloud is this automation piece. I mean, you cannot, if you're an IT administrator and you have given your services to your different business organizations, go configure your environment, but there is no time for anybody to keep manually track on what is getting deployed, and they could be across different virtual data centers. And VMware has these technologies like vMotion and DRS and moving virtual machines from one place to another place, from one vCenter to another vCenter. Data Protector can track those. We are tuned in to VMware environment, and we can track that and automatically protect that and automatically apply the policies to those virtual machines or applications that are moving from one virtual data center to another virtual data center. So I think the automation piece is really key here, and that's where we're going actually, is we're going to provide self-service consumption of IT infrastructure and IT resources for our business organization, but then we want to make sure that critical data center functions like backup and recovery complements that. You don't want to put the additional overhead on the IT resource and say, one hand we're freeing you up, but on the other hand, by the way, for backup and recovery, you need to manage those components.
So the one thing that I think about is I would imagine a lot of this integration is happening through VADP. That's an open API that you guys publish. Everybody knows it. Why is Data Protector so far ahead in front of anybody? And is there more than that? Is it more than just using the APIs to get the vCloud integration that we have?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Actually, from the virtualization space, we have always done a great job with VMware. Before the vCloud Director was announced, we already had the integration with VADP, like other vendors provide that, and we also had this one-touch policy protection for the virtualized environment. And we have a great partnership with VMware. I mean, we work with the teams together, so that gives us a little bit of ability to understand what VMware is doing, and our development teams work pretty closely together to understand what is the next level, where we're going. From physical infrastructure, now we're talking about virtualized environment, and Brent can talk a little bit more about what VMware's vision is around that. And then now we're moving this virtualized environment to the cloud environment with virtualization becoming standard. So we're constantly evaluating what our customers want, and we're working together to say what is the next level, and we're providing that integration. And that's the result of our partnership that we had with VMware.
Yeah. Well, this interesting conversation, great announcement for you guys. Appreciate you guys joining us for this conversation today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead.
Jacob, thanks for joining us. You've been doing a bunch of blogger briefings here at VMworld around the cloud system. You've shown some great demos that people want to see that. We'll point to where they can get them. But why don't you first introduce yourself for everybody watching?
So my name is Jacob Van Ewyk. I'm one of the strategists working on HP Cloud System, and particularly working around Cloud System Matrix and integrating it with other software components from HP.
And as I said, a lot of what you were doing here was helping with some of the briefings we did. You've been doing some booth duty. Obviously, a lot of news coming out of VMworld around Cloud System Matrix. Why don't you paint the high-level picture? What did we announce here?
Absolutely. It's been a busy week here at VMworld. We had a couple key announcements around Cloud System. First of all, that we're optimizing it to work with partners, and in particular at VMworld, obviously VMware. And examples of that we introduced as new technology. HP's always been very strong at deploying physical infrastructure. VMware obviously is very strong at managing and deploying virtual machines. And we showed how we bring those two things together. So Cloud System can go lay down a new physical ESX cluster in 15 minutes from a self-service catalog. but not only lay it down as we've done in the past and build it, but also link it into vCloud Director. So now it deploys the new physical resources, vCloud Director sees it, and they can go and start deploying their virtual applications on it. Even better, if you need more capacity or less capacity on the physical, once again, a few clicks, you can add more servers, you can remove servers, you can power up, power down servers, you can change the storage configuration underneath that ESXi cluster. And so that's bringing and demonstrating the power of HP to deploy physical servers in conjunction with VMware and vCloud Director deploying virtual machines on top of it. And it's another great example of us working together. A couple other things we announced. One of the other big ones, we know lots and lots of customers already have lots of virtual machines deployed. And one of the challenges is most of these tools are really good at deploying new services. What we've also announced is we can now take running virtual machines and import them as a new service.
Wait a minute, we'd take a running virtual machine already running on some other infrastructure and pull it into a cloud system.
Exactly. Wow. Without, in the past, cloud system and a lot of other tools were great at deploying new virtual machines. But what about everything you're running already?
Can you do that with it still being live and people running the app and running the virtual machine?
Absolutely, that's the whole
So they
point.
don't have to go on lunch break or do it over the weekend. They can do it. Wow, that's pretty.
They just create import that virtual machine's information into Cloud System Matrix, and we can see it. It's running. We aren't actually touching the virtual machine. It's more we understand it's there, and we can manage it now. So that's another great example of how well we're working together.
Yeah. And was there? I think you said there were 3 things. Is that 2 of them, or was that the 3rd? And I'm lost count now.
Offhand, I'd have to go back and check my notes. Those were the big 2 things, and part of it is the overall announcement that we are taking Cloud System and actually optimizing it for our partners.
So the demo that you did, I think that was what you described the first bit. What is that called? I think is it called AutoFlex, or what's the name of that?
Yeah. We call that auto-flexing technology. That's where we deploy the physical infrastructure and then change it underneath the ESX cluster as needed, and integrate with vCloud Director so they know about those changes.
So that's perfect for things like failover, being able to get back up and running. Why don't you talk a little bit about how that an IT administrator could see something like that happen?
So a great example, and we do this with a number of customers with Cloud System. One of the nice things about Cloud System is we can fail over physical servers from one data center to another. VMware obviously does a great job of failing over virtual machines. So imagine a situation you lose a server or even a rack of servers in a data center. You might even lose the whole data center. We can take those physical hypervisor images, fail them over, bring them back up in another data center, and that's created new capacity in your other data center for VMware to start moving virtual machines onto. And this can be done automatically. So it's a very robust solution, bringing the power of HP to deploy and manage physical resources and the power of VMware to manage the virtual machines on top.
So I want to throw you a curveball because I've got this voice in my head of one of our engineers in Roseville who was working with one of a partner of ours, and they were wanting to learn about how failover worked, and they thought they had it all figured out, and he said, well, what about failback? So how about, if you're going to fail over, at some point you got to bring it back. So is that as easy as the failover?
So within Cloud System, as of, I'm going to say 6 months ago or so, we supported bi-directional failover, and of course that includes failback. So we can actually have active systems in each data center, fail over to the other data center, fail back, and of course the other data center can fail over to the first data center and back as well.
Yeah.
And we, by the way, we don't look at it just as a physical service or server. We actually look at the whole service. So we could fail over the whole ESX cluster, not just one server in the ESX cluster, right? Because we look at that as a whole service.
Yeah, because I think of it as, of course, being an IT administrator, I think of it in an IT administrator mind. So you got failover, you got failback. It just seems to be like this one big shell game of where's the ball playing right now.
Where's Waldo, or where's my VM?
But the more important thing is the data that then gets put to wherever, because the ball is that data, and you want to make sure that data ends up in the right right spot, and we don't lose anything. We don't have to go back and do anything, backups or anything like that.
So normally what we do for high availability within the data center is it's usually automated failover and automatic failover. When we talk about DR, normally it's automated push button failover. So
you want an administrator to make that decision that we have to do that versus it just happening.
And we tend to do that. I spent a lot of time in the Unix space. We did that with our Continental clusters as well, because the last thing you want is to lose a network link to a Quorum disk and have everything fail over and now have split brain where you got two data centers up and running trying to process the same thing, and then you have data corruption. So it's automated, but it's not automatic in the case of DR.
Right.
And there's a lot of good reasons for that.
So you've been doing a lot of booth duty. I mean, Jeffrey and I are lucky because we get to go just hang out, have fun, and you're doing a lot of work. I'm sorry. Now I'm kind of rubbing it in. I'm here having a great time.
He's been sitting on the beach all week.
I'm sure. What beach? You're having a great time in the booth, and you're getting a lot of input from customers. What's the big things you're hearing from customers? And what in cloud system is actually addressing what you're hearing from these customers talking to you?
So the nice thing about a show like VMworld is that the most people are focused around virtualization, and cloud is the next step. Quite frankly, most of the customers I'm talking to, some have started moving into cloud, usually starting with infrastructure, but most of them are actually still at a virtualization layer.
They're trying to figure it out.
They're going, okay, we're getting our hands around virtualization, but we haven't figured out this cloud thing.
Yeah, I was just at a partner event in Southern California, Nth Generation, favorite guys on the planet to go visit and go to their show, and they always do these polling questions, and I think they asked how many of you have deployed a cloud. If I remember right, I think the number was less than 15%. And the number of people looking or thinking about it
was very high.
Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of people trying to figure it out, and this is a great place to get that from us.
And what we found is, if you remember virtualization, when it first came out, it was a technology discussion. Got limited acceptance usually within an organization because they realized that it had to change the people in the process and the way IT was delivered. Yeah. And once they figured out those changes, they were able to roll it out very quickly. Well, I think cloud is going through that same evolution, probably at a faster pace, but a lot of people are now highly virtualized, and they're going, okay, what do we do next? And the standard answer that we give is get something in. I'm biased. Cloud System Matrix, I think, is a great place to start. There's a trial version you can download for free and set up to get understanding it. But get something in to test it, to understand it, so that you understand, what does a self-service catalog mean, and people requesting services instead of calling IT and saying, I want this, and doing that automatically. Because that's going to change the people and process of IT. And getting the people and process done, or at least understanding that, will allow customers and organizations to accelerate their adoption of it once that's in place. The failures we see are, hey, we got one, what the heck do we do with it now, right? The technology is there, and biased, I think HP technology is some of the best stuff out there, and obviously we partner very strongly with VMware, but let's face it, the hardest part of this won't be the technology, it will be the people in the process side.
I've talked about this before. It's in the regular IT shop, it's always thought about the virtualization being the virtualization of a warehouse or a hospital or something like that. Now we're getting into places that people didn't think that there would be cloud or virtualization at all. Mm-hmm. And which is really great. What would be the one thing that you would say is would be a good defining factor for somebody like high-end performance, getting rid of the desktops and getting into the virtualized cloud, and go from there?
The first thing I'll say is I'm not an expert on desktop solutions. But where that fits tends to be people who've got a connection most of the time. I've got friends who work at Google, and I jokingly bug them that their products may be great, but they assume I always have an internet connection. Mm-hmm. And I spend enough time on planes that I can't make that assumption. But, and I've talked to a few
Well,
customers.
even if you're on a plane, you still can't, and you have internet access, you still can't be a part of that solution, yeah.
Right, in most cases. And, living in California, there's a lot of places I can go, I can't get a 3G or 4G connection either. But, the reality is there are some types of work and workers where that makes complete sense. And it makes sense for admins because, hey, all the data's in the data center. How easy is it to back up? I spend enough time out of the office that I need a laptop. And, it solves one of the problems of what happens if my hard drive dies or something like that, right? Is my data backed up? Well, I can tell you this week, not so much. Most of it, if I'm in the office, yes, but if I'm on the road,
Yeah, I remember when the conversations about virtual desktops first started, and my very first question was, I get on a plane and I want to be able to do some work.
Yeah.
Well, then you just download an image and you take it with you. Well, wait a minute, if I'm going to download an image, why don't I just run my laptop? Why do I? So that's a great point. But one thing I want to wrap this on is you mentioned, and this is news to me, and I didn't realize it was a free trial for Cloud System Matrix. What kind of underlying infrastructure does somebody have to have in place? I mean, I can't download it and run it on my laptop, can I? What do you need in place to be able to do it?
you probably wouldn't want to run it on your laptop. But it's hp.com/go/try cloud system is the URL to get it. And essentially what we've done is we've taken the full software and all the functionality, made it a 90-day trial version. We provide the instructions for installing it to manage virtual machines. So obviously you need VMware, or we support Microsoft Hyper-V, but you can set it up, you can try it on virtual machines. It's not that we can't use that to do physical server provisioning, it's just those installed instructions are many, many, many times larger, and we're obviously much more restricted on the hardware configurations and stuff like that.
So in other words, if somebody wants to try it, they can be running Dell servers or NC storage or whatever. If they're running a VM, they can try Cloud System and Cloud System Matrix and try it.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point of the trial.
That's cool. I've never known that, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I wasn't aware of that. So I'll definitely make that more clear in the future too.
It's a good way, as I said, for those customers who are going, okay, what's my next step? How does this work? And to be able to do that. And we have the trial. But one of the challenges everybody has is, okay, I need to learn a new tool. How do I do that? The other thing we provide is cloud maps. That's the content, the pre-built content. So we've worked with VMware to define what does that ESX host template look like. It'll never be perfectly the way you want it, but instead of having to figure out the best practices,
where you need to go.
90%, you can go in and do custom configuration instead of custom development.
Yeah.
And it means you can be up and running in an hour.
And there's a pretty big catalog of those, right?
Yeah, we've got over 150 cloud maps from many vendors. That's bringing the power of HP. We work with lots and lots of companies and build those best practices in.
Yep. So. Well, Jacob, thanks for joining us. Great update on what's going on with Cloud System Matrix and with all the development going on there. I appreciate you joining us, and I appreciate you doing all the blogger briefings you did for us this week too.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, we'd like to thank everybody that was part of the HP TechCast at VMworld 2012. Of course, Brent.
The Brent
show. Janice, we had Gagan, and of course,
Jacob
here, yes. So many names to remember. And of course, what's your name again?
I'm HP Storage Guy.
HP Storage Guy. Calvin, Jeffrey Powers, of course. You can find me at Geekazine. That's my Twitter handle. Think Magazine, take out the mag, put in a geek. You got Geekazine. We've got, there's going to be tons of video on HP's website, on Geekazine, talking about VMworld 2012. Feel free to go there, check it all out, and see the excitement of virtualization, see the excitement of cloud and how it's all converging and making your IT experience that much better.
Right here, right now.
If you're a blogger, this is we don't normally do this style. We usually have bloggers here that are asking questions. We're going to be doing some more stuff on the upcoming weeks. So if you're a blogger and you want to be part of this great experience at the HP TechCast, feel free to Twitter me at Geekazine, at HP Storage Guy, and let them know that you'd like to be part of this. And we'll get you on a future HP TechCast. But for now, we're going to go and experience a little bit more of VMworld, do some more sessions, and of course answer a lot of questions. And of course you can check that out, like I said, over at hp.com and geekazine.com. So thanks for Calvin. Jeffrey Powers here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us.